Okay, so these 2% yield questions are fairly simple. First one, it's asking you to look at this graph and then say what this is saying about the calculated percent yield. Calculated percent yield. All right, so let me get rid of this back paper since it printed weird. Okay, there we go. So I know that to calculate percent yield, my formula is going to equal my actual over theoretical and all of that times 100. All right, so in this graph, I see that the theoretical yield is represented by this solid line. So this one is my theoretical yield. But my actual yield, the dotted line, is below it. So there is a difference between theoretical yield and actual yield. What I expected versus what I got. If I look at my equation, if both the actual and the theoretical yield were the exact same number, so let's say they were both like 10 or something, then that would equal 1, and then I would multiply that by 100, and it would equal 100%. So if both the actual and the theoretical yield were the same number, they were the same line, my percent yield would equal 100%. But that is not the case. My actual yield is lower than the theoretical yield. What I got is lower than what I expected. So let's say that my theoretical yield was actually 10. That is what I expected. But I ended up getting lower. So I got, let's say, 8. 8 over 10 times 100 is equal to 80%. So if my actual yield is lower than my theoretical yield, my calculated percent yield will always be lower than 100%, because the only way that I can get 100 is if actual equals theoretical. But because actual is lower, I would get something less than 100%. So less than 100% yield. All right. Next one, I made some Kool-Aid. I thought I could make 150 milliliters, but I was only able to make this many. What was the percent yield of my Kool-Aid? Pretty easy. My percent yield formula is actual over theoretical and all of that times 100. So I thought that I could make 150 milliliters. That means that my theoretical number is 150. I thought I could make this, but I was actually able to only make 100. So I actually produced 100. And then I have to multiply that division by 100. Anytime you are doing percent yield problems, make sure that your units match. So both of these are milliliters, so I can straight up divide them. If in a case they didn't match, you would have to make them match. You don't have to worry about that for the test, but be aware of it. Okay, so I have my stuff set up. Now I just have to do the math. So 100 divided by 150 times 100 is equal to about 66.7%. So my percent yield in making Kool-Aid is 66.7%. Again, I thought I was able to make this much. I only produced this much. My percent yield is this, based on just a simple fraction. And that is all for percent yield.